I'm really interested to see how Lando's Milkman does. And, he's won the previous 2 races fairly convincingly, and he's now down in 7th as he starts this race. But we shall see. Yeah, I'm very keen to see how he does.
Silence, unfortunately, unable to set a time in quali. He's going to be looking to fight his way back through the grid. Hopefully we'll see some neat driving from him in the Williams. His teammate, unfortunately, is in 17th.
Rogue spun.
Rogue
spun on the formation lap.
So Rogue has had a spin here in formation.
Yeah, well, that's just, the cold tires, especially on those hards that he's qualified on. Cold tires, it's very hard to find where the grip is out of turn 4. And Rogue's given us a great demonstration of that here on the formation lap.
Now, one place to note here that I'm all too familiar with is coming out of what I know you like to call the reverse snail here. This wide turn going into the back straight.
Turn 12 banking, yeah.
Very important on that banking to not touch that inside curbing. That inside curbing can take you off into no man's land there, into the inside wall, and ruin your race, as it happened to me a few weeks ago. So I'm all too familiar with that. The St. Broth now coming down into the hairpin after the Sector 3 straight.
It's going to be interesting to see how those softs last at the start of the race, whether St. Broth can actually keep Pasek behind until maybe a safety car or something. It looks like there's quite a gap to Gore.
So cars now lining up on the grid ahead of the opening lap here in Shanghai. It is once again, everybody, ERS Season 6. This is the Tier 3 Division, Round 3. Waiting for all these drivers to get ready to go here. You can hear the purr of those hybrid engines now on the grid as the lights start coming on. We have 4 red lights, 5 red lights. And it's lights out, and we're off here in Shanghai. St. Broth on pole. Pasek next to him in the Ferrari. Looks like both of those 2 drivers getting away with solid starts into turn 1 now. Not too much action. Doesn't look like anybody had any issues here so far. Very, very clean through these first few turns here.
Looks like Skybits is going to make... Oh, Skybits has been pushed off. He's into the gravel, and that's a Red Bull off as well. That's Lando.
Lando and
Lando's
Skybits
Milkman
getting pinched through the first turn. Up through turn 4 now. Skybits looking for a safe way to rejoin the grid here. Very unfortunate start for the Ferrari and the Red Bull drivers. Pasek ahead of St. Broth now, coming through Sector 2's S. Down into the left-hander. St. Broth going to be looking to make up some time on him for sure. Persian King absolutely muscling it into this 3rd sector here. He's up into P3.
Something tells me that St. Broth's softs are already starting to give up halfway through the lap. Because Pasek's already managed to pull out 7 tenths. Just about. See Asia going wide.
Persian has got to be happy with his track position right now, given the state of the soft compounds from St. Broth and the Mercedes.
A really unfortunate start for Lando's Milkman. I think he got it. I think he and Skybits had a little tap coming out of turn 4.
Gore now going into turn 1.
And
Very, very tight to the rear
only
of Persian.
side by side.
Looks like...
Ooh, next time goes wide. Little touch. Gives Roig a little love tap. Says, hey, how you going? And looks like Lando's Milkman
into the pits.
Coming in for a new wing. And going on the softs. So he'll definitely be hoping for a safety car of some sort. to help save his race.
Yeah, very unfortunate from him. As my intervals at the moment are not currently updated, we'll be waiting for all these drivers to cross through into lap 3 for proper times. Now, with all of the position changes going on, this is very, very common. Of course, through the first opening laps, it's hard to get an eye on all of the action as all the gaps are very, very tight. Gore, 3/10 behind Persian King through lap 2 here. He'll be looking to make a move, I'm sure, at some point
Yellow
by the end
flag
of the
set
race.
between that's Key. Key's lost it, I think, for like the 3rd time now.
Key is just not having a good race here in Shanghai. His quali didn't go very well.
Oh, Persian King side by side with St. Broth going into the hairpin. And Skybits has taken out
Ooh, little bit of a wheel
Skybits.
tap from Persian and St. Broth there. Gore rubbed his hands together to watch that unfold, and now he's up into P3 ahead of the Mercedes. St. Broth definitely feeling the degradation of that soft compound tire now. W.
We have
Gore,
a VSC. We have a VSC.
VSC here on lap 3 now. All drivers
Yep.
required to slow things down a bit.
Yeah, I think it was Skybits and Silence, I think, had a little coming together at turn 12.
As I err
So,
in the pits now for the hard compound and a wing change. Skybits as well coming into the pits as DRS comes online. We are back to green flag racing here.
and Kasich already starting to try and pull away, make a bit of a gap. He's already broken DRS from Persian King behind. See a McLaren and Toro Rosso going side by side. That's BJ and Byron into the S section. BJ getting the better of that one so far.
Of course, guys, through these first opening laps, with the tightness of the grid, we try to get as much action as we can here. It looks like Nixana and Olipop are having a back and forth battle right now. We're going to go on board with Olipop as he looks to retake that position from Nixana down the back straight, but he's fallen off quite a bit here. Looks like he's
Gone a
already
bit
dropped
wide on
back
the exit.
a full second behind Nixana now as we go with Atero Nevo coming down the outside, or the inside, sorry, into the hairpin. He drops back a bit. Looks like there's a bit of a lag issue going on for both of these drivers, the McLaren and the Racing Point. BJ off wide in the hairpin. He is able to make a move on Byron, but Byron coming back pretty quick through this last turn into lap 4 now. These drivers will go. The Toro Rosso going to have DRS down the pit straight now. He's coming around the outside, moving down into turn 1. It looks like he'll have a clean overtake through into the turn now.
This K4 in the Haas sets a new fastest lap with 1:39 on the mediums.
St. Broth looks like he's making a comeback there in the front. He's 2/10
McLaren.
behind Gore.
Yeah, Ollie's had a little bit of a spin as well at turn 4. Those softs are cooked.
Tiger
Absolutely
Racing in the
cooked.
Alfa Romeo looking to catch up to the McLaren and get himself into the points now, fighting for P10.
Unfortunate for Key as well, picking up a 5 seconds for spitting in the pit lane. But Pasek now pulling out 1.7 seconds. So he has definitely broken that DRS and is looking to just run away with this race. And meanwhile, oh, Gore's lost it on the bank in turn 12. And he gets taken out. Nixana, Gore, both out.
That is very unfortunate for the Racing Point and the Toro Rosso driver. Nixana, obviously having come 3rd last race in Bahrain, is now out here in Shanghai. We are going to see a VSC come out due to that accident.
Yeah, that was really, really a big collision. Don't know how that wasn't a full safety car, but we press on. There's definitely going to be some very strong words between those two drivers, I'm sure.
As these drivers move past the wreckage of Gore and Nixana, we have the two Red Bulls moving into 12th and 13th respectively. Lando not having the race that he I'm sure had hoped to have here in China.
Looks like BSC has ended.
BSC has ended now, and Rogue and Calusa are very, very close together here. We're going to go on board with Rogue through the S to see if he's able to make a move on Calusa now as we're back to green flag racing here on lap 5.
Yeah, BJ is also very close to the back of the Alfa Romeo of Tiger Racing. Ooh. It's a little bit close there. Well, that's a cut.
Still on with Rogue here as he should have the DRS, but he has a bit of a slip on the banking. He is going to have the DRS, though, moving into the hairpin, but so will Calusa on St. Broth. We're going to go on board with him now. Unfortunately, we have that rev bug, but a little bit of a swerve from the Mercedes there. Tight to the curbing on the hairpin. Calusa very, very close to that Mercedes coming through the last turn here as these drivers look to move into lap 6 now. He's going to have DRS down the pit straight. He's coming around the outside of the Mercedes into turn 1 now. They are wheel to wheel up through turn 2. It's the Alpha on the inside of the Mercedes. Looks like he has a bit of loss of grip there. I think the Alpha did get his front right wheel caught in the Mercedes there. The Mercedes makes the move back into third there. We saw a little bit of an overtake, but Rogue now on the inside of that Alfa Romeo coming through sector 1. Moving up into the sector 2S. Very, very tight racing from these two now as the Renault comes out in front of the Alpha. That is Rogue, of course. His teammate Persian King currently sat in P2. Calusa will look to make a move back on that Renault, I'm sure, as Calusa is on the faster tire at the moment.
You can definitely see that St. Broth's tires are very, very worn, very short.
It's a good job by him, though, to maintain the podium position for the time being.
We should see him pitting either this lap or the next lap. I don't think he'll go too much longer on those sets of that set of tires.
As it's Rogue now moving around the outside down into the hairpin. It looks like he's going to be able to get a clean overtake here as the Mercedes very, very tight here. Looks to push the Renault wide, but the Renault has too much power on the exit, and he makes a very clean overtake through the hairpin. Now moving down into lap 7 for these drivers. The Renault has made that move into P3 stick as St. Broth into the pits now.
He's had enough. He's going on the hards, so presumably he's going to try and make those last to the end. Lap 7, he's done well on those softs. He's given himself a good chance.
As he drops back into P10 in the Mercedes, he's jumping onto the hard compound tire. Do you see the hard compound making it till the end right now, or do you think he's going to be looking for a safety car to maybe switch on over to the mediums at some point?
Pretty touch and go at this point. I mean, considering how well he did on those worn softs, I'd say he has a pretty solid chance of making it to the end. Time will tell, I guess.
Into the pits now. He's going to switch on over to the hard compound as well in the McLaren. He's going to drop back into 14th. Skybits on the 4-lap old mediums now moved up into P13. Calusa's dropped back a bit on the 3rd place runner, Rogue. He was battling with him for quite some time earlier on, but now it's Etero Nevo in the Racing Point currently running in the battle for P4. He's going to have DRS down this back straight now. We'll go on board with him as he looks to make a move on the Alpha. He's going to come around the inside of the Alpha down into the hairpin. It should be a fairly easy move for this Racing Point driver. Calusa has a bit of a better entry into the turn there. He doesn't go wide like the Racing Point, but unfortunately that Racing Point has a little bit too much power for the Alpha on the exit here, as now Calusa will look to fight back with DRS down the pit straight into turn 1. Will he be able to make a move? It doesn't look like he has enough space between him and that Racing Point to make a lunge here, so he's just going to have to bide his time and be patient to fight back. Tiger Racing up through turns 1 and 2, very close to the rear of BJ in that McLaren.
after 7 laps, you do start to see the field spread a little bit. As the tires get worn, however, you're gonna start seeing, we might be seeing a few more mistakes come out.
As we can see on the grid right now, Key 2300, our last position driver currently running in that Williams 16th place, is a minute and a half behind the race leader. He hasn't been lapped just yet, but he's going to look to maintain some proper race pace to avoid being lapped here, because in the event of a safety car, if you are lapped, you are not required to rejoin the safety car queue. So the safety car, I'm sure for him, would be a saving grace at this point in time. A couple of other things to note for is the stops. Drivers in positions 10 through
Sorry to cut you off
16.
there, but Tiger Racing and BJ going side by side down the back straight.
Ooh,
Very
almost a
tight.
wheel tap there.
BJ's trying to defend it around the outside, and he does. So,
It's not over yet,
does
though.
very well to keep that. I don't know if he's close. If Tiger Racing's close enough to really make a solid move into turn 1. It doesn't look like it. Moving back up the grid a little bit to Calusa.
One thing to
He's
note
still
here,
eyeing down that
is
racing point.
the fastest lap of the race at this point in time is Lando's Milkman on the soft compound tire here in a 135.686. So some of these drivers will be looking to improve on that to take that extra point. As I was saying before we got into that very tight battle through the hairpin, drivers St. Broth in position 10 all the way up to Key in 16th are the only drivers to stop so far in this campaign. Position changes throughout the race here. The most notable position change would be for Itero Nevo in that racing point. He's made up 11 positions from where he started. Very nice from him. Unfortunately, Olipub has seen the biggest drop, with the exception of Gore, who's no longer in the race. Olipub has dropped back 11 positions, whereas Gore, out of this race, has dropped back 12. As we move back now, Tiger Racing again down the inside into the hairpin with quite a lunge here. Very, very tight on the inside curbing there, but it is again BJ having the better exit through that turn.
Runs a little bit wide. And the exit does BJ. I think Tiger Race is going to have a run on him into turn 1. No,
I think's better of it. Yeah, backs out there. Calusa still close to the rear of Itero Nevo. He is within 1 second at the moment. We'll see if he's able to get anything cooking here on lap 10.
Yeah. So lap 10 now. Those medium runners, as well as Lando's Milkman on those softs, gonna really start feeling the tire deck now. Should be seeing them pit around lap 12, 13 for a set of hard tires.
The battle to watch right now between this Alpha and McLaren, as they're keeping things very, very tight for the time being. As we come around that sector 3 banking onto the main, or I should say back straight.
Close. He's so much closer. He gets the toe, looks to the outside.
Coming down the outside now.
They're still side by side though. Ooh, the McLaren runs deep. And Tiger Racing has got that move done. So he's now up into 7th position. But it's not over yet. BJ all over the rear wing of that Alpha. Looking to take back that position. Is he going to go for a dive? No, he doesn't. Thinks better of it. As right behind them, the Haas of K4 also getting quite close to the same
Ooh,
draw.
and there's a spin. That's BJ. He is off at turn 2 with some wheel contact with Tiger Racing after such Such close wheel-to-wheel action there. He looks to rejoin the circuit safely. Good on him to let St. Broth and K4 by now. Azair going to pick up some time on the McLaren as well due to that spin. Very unfortunate for BJ, but he still maintains a top 10 position. K4 will be looking to take a position off that Mercedes, although his tires much older at this point than the hards of St. Broth. Very unfortunate for the McLaren there. He was having such a great battle with the Alpha. As we see Olipop retire in sector 3, I do believe.
He's in the pits.
Okay, he retired in the pits. So Olipop out of this race in the McLaren. Very unfortunate.
So Pasek and Persian both coming into the pits. Could be a battle of the pit crews. Doesn't look like to be any position change as of yet. There's this massive train with the lap car of BJ. Oh, there's a... No, that's Ollie's AI, sorry.
Yeah, BJ has not been lapped. I do believe that was Olipop's car. Not too sure what happened there with Olipop. Not sure why he chose to retire the car, as he had just come out of the pits. Rogue now in the Renault, currently leading this race here on lap 12 with the 11-lap old hard compound tires. Etero Nevo within 3 seconds in P2. Calusa in P3 in the Alpha. Our top 4 drivers here in the campaign so far yet to pit for new tires, and I do believe that's Tiger, K4, and BJ also yet to pit here in this race. So we'll see what happens once those drivers decide to start coming in here. Rogue obviously not having to come in just yet, being on that hard compound tire. So he comes around.
He's definitely going to have a lot of pace at the end of the race on those fresh mediums compared to everyone else around him on worn hards.
Azair. Yeah. Taking that 3-second time penalty after multiple warnings. He is not having the race I'm sure he wants to be having right now, as he's currently sat in P11. Calusa in the Alpha on lap 12 of the medium compounds, now into the pits. Pasek and Persian King will each gain a slot as a result, as well as Tiger Racing. St. Broth moving up into 7th as well. We'll be looking to see where Calusa comes out. BJ into the pits now. That's going to put Azair into the points.
Yeah, Calusa just slots right in between St. Broth and K4.
Not too bad for him being on the fresh compound.
A very spread out grid at the moment. It looks like Pasek rapidly catching the back of Byron, who has yet to make a pit stop on those 12-lap old worn hard tires. Bit of a snap from Pasek, but he does well to catch it. He should have the ERS. Puts it up into overtake. Is he going to go for a dive? I don't know if he's close enough.
No, he thinks better of it. Maybe into turn 1 though. He has a very good exit on the rear of that Toro Rosso coming through this last turn. Goes a little wide though. Has the DRS. He is very close. He is going to make a move here down the inside on the pit straight into turn 1. And that is Pasek up into P2 now. But again, the Toro Rosso making a move down the inside of that Ferrari up through turn 2. He is now behind the Ferrari through turn 3, hugging the apex. And Pasek has made that move stick on the 2-lap old hards.
Meanwhile, behind them, the Racing Point and the Mercedes getting fairly close. St. Broth is looking to chase that position down.
Otero on the fresh hards, not going to have the tire temps into those yet. St. Broth having been on the hards for some time now. As it looks like Lando and BJ currently in the fight for P11. Lando very, very close to BJ, currently less than a second separating them, as BJ, I do believe, had just overtaken the Red Bull driver through turn 1.
Jump back up to St. Broth. He's within DRS range of the racing point. DRS open, but looks like he hasn't got the best of exits compared to the racing point. I'm not going to even try and pronounce it. I'm going to butcher that so hard, as Key has spun at the last corner.
Very unfortunate race for Key, as he is now out of this race. He has not been having a good race so far here in Shanghai, as qualifying went very, very poorly, and unfortunately his race has gone that way, as well as St. Broth still within half a second of the racing point of
Lando's Milkman side by side with BJ.
coming down here. BJ without the DRS, Lando should have a very easy time getting ahead of the McLaren driver here. Lando with a very good exit in the Red Bull there. BJ not having the traction he needed on the exit, as Lando has moved back into P11. A little bit wide there from the McLaren through the last turn. He is going to have DRS down the pit straight, but he does not have very much charge left in his battery at the moment. Lando, on the other hand, has plenty to play with. Coming up through turn 2 now. The McLaren looking to make a switchback move down the inside, thinks better of it. Lando has a lot of traction through this section here in comparison to the McLaren, and it looks like Lando is going to make that move stick here on lap 15.
And
Persian and
down
Byron.
Down the inside of turn 12. I think Byron just got a little bit wide.
Persian with the DRS as well.
Yeah, those tires on the Toro Rosso not giving the Toro Rosso driver the grip that he wants out of the turn 12, and does lose that podium position to Persian King.
Byron into the pits now on the 14-lap-old hard compound tires, or excuse me, 15-lap-old hard compound tires, as Persian now on the 4-lap-old tires, currently running in third. Azure, or Azair, or however you wish it to be pronounced, currently running in 9th on the 12-lap-old hards. He has got to be hoping for a safety car at this point. We'll see if he decides to pit or go another one. And he's going to go another one. So moving on to lap 16 is the Red Bull. His teammate not too far behind him. He is on the fresher tires, but a very large gap between the two teammates. Lando in P10, his teammate in P9, 13.5 the gap.
Yeah, it's definitely a very spread out grid at the moment.
13 laps to go here as we are on lap 16. Rogue currently leading the race in the Renault as he comes down the Sector 3 back straight. He's getting ready to lap the Williams of silence.
Poor old Williams. It looks like okay, I'm gonna try this. Eterno in the racing point.
He's gonna have
He's got the DRS on Tiger. Tiger trying to break toe, committing to defending the inside.
Ooh. Switches lines in the middle of the braking zone there, making it very, very difficult for this racing point. But I think he's made the move stick here, as he had a very, very clean exit out of the hairpin. He's already taken 7/10 out of that Alpha. The Alpha, though.
Rogue's in the pits. He's going to come out in third. All that battling has put Rogue up into third. So the overcut has worked this time. And now on those fresh mediums, be looking to pull away and secure that 2-3 for Renault. Great job from the Renault team.
Azair into the pits now.
Also comes in. He gets 5 seconds for speeding.
That's going to hurt. That's going to hurt really bad. Very unfortunate for the Red Bull driver. Things not going the way he wanted them, as his teammate, the winner of our previous 2 races, Lando's Milkman, currently jumps into P9. BJ also jumping up ahead, K4 up ahead as well. So Lando 9th, BJ 10th, and K4 in 11th. Azair comes out in 12th. Azair definitely feeling the pressure here in Shanghai, as he is not having a very good race. He'll be looking to improve, and I'm sure hoping for a safety car here.
Tiger Racing gets a poor exit onto turn 12. I don't think it's going to be close enough to try and make a move on the racing point. No, nowhere near close enough. That's the closest scrap going on at the moment. The battle for 4th.
Tiger into the pits now. St. Broth jumps up a slot into 5th. Gonna see quite a couple of drivers jumping up now, as Tiger was on 17 lap old hards there. He is the last of the drivers in this race to pit.
See what Tiger, yeah, he goes on the mediums.
Azair with DRS down the back, sector 3 straight. He takes the inside line, jumps in front of K4 here. Bit of a shaky exit there through the hairpin. K4 very close to him still, and K4 will have the DRS coming through the pit straight. Ooh, way wide is the Haas driver of K4 now. Still has the DRS though, but definitely not enough of a gap to make a move on the Red Bull here through turn 1. Very nice move from Azair, making it stick. He's up into P11, but he goes a little wide through turn 2 there. K4 definitely making up a lot of space on that Red Bull.
Yeah, unfortunately, no really close gaps. Just really keep an eye out. Just look at Pasek. Starts lap 19. Currently 4 seconds ahead of Persian King. But Rogue is catching them. Sets a fastest lap, 1:35.1 on those fresh mediums. He's looking to gun down his teammate, Persian King. And he's already pulled out 3 seconds in 2 laps, so it's definitely possible that we could be seeing a fight between the 2 Renaults.
Down the sector 3 back straight now is Azair in the Red Bull on a charge. He's taken a position here last lap, and he's going to take another one here as he comes around the outside, down into the hairpin on the McLaren of BJ. Cuts in front of the McLaren there. Again, a little wide on the exit. Not a lot of traction for the Red Bull driver. BJ is still very tight to the rear of that Red Bull. He is going to have the DRS coming down the pit straight now, moving through into lap 19. Are these two? Will we see him move from the McLaren into turn 1? Looks like
he's out of battery.
Oh, he tries it anyway. Takes that inside line, but it doesn't work out for him just yet. But he's still very close here, but he has to conserve some kind of battery power here in order to make this work, as the Red Bull driver has a lot more to play with than the McLaren here.
Yeah, missing out on about 160 brake horsepower, if I'm correct.
Good job by the Red Bull, though, to get back up into the points now, as we have Kalusa currently within a second of St. Broth. We're going to switch on over to him, as Azair now has a mountain to climb to get back to his teammate. Kalusa with the DRS now going into the hairpin, doesn't make a move, stays patient. Very nice from him to keep close to the rear of the Mercedes as we come through the last turn now, heading into lap 20. He's going to have the DRS on the pit straight. He's pretty close here, but he doesn't have enough momentum to make a move here through turn 1. He decides to stay on the rear again of that Mercedes. Very likely. I just want to point out. Ooh, very tight here.
I just want to point out that Rogue is flying at the moment, taking out another second on Persian King. There's 8 laps to go, so we're definitely going to see a scrap between these two. At the back of the grid, Skybits gets past the McLaren of BJ with the help of that DRS. Easy as you like.
Ooh, and there goes BJ with a spin into McLaren on the exit. Looks like he overcooked it as he's lost a
Just got too
mountain of
eager.
time. He is jumping into the pits now. Very interesting to see from him.
Meanwhile,
As he gets a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane and decides to retire. So that's going to be it for the McLaren team for this race.
Calusa got an amazing run on St. Broth out of the final corner. This is going to be such an easy overtake. ERS open. St. Broth defends the inside. It's not going to amount to anything. Calusa, easy as you like. Now he's up into P5.
Bit of a cut there from the Mercedes as well. We'll have to see if he takes a warning.
Nope. That wasn't a warning. I just checked the race director.
Very lucky for the Mercedes driver there on the hairpin. Rogue is absolutely flying here on those mediums as he is now within a second of his teammate Persian King here on lap 21.
You can tell he's been pushing. He's used all of his ERS to just catch up to Persian. He's now sitting at like 14%. But he's closed the gap, which is good to see.
Definitely looking like it's going to be a solid haul of points here for the Renault drivers.
Yeah, they're coming round that turn 12 banked corner onto the back straight. Pushes up in hot lap. He's going to go. I think he's going to go for the move regardless. Get the amazing toe. DRS open. Comes alongside. And gets past him with ease. So Rogue now
A little deep into the turn though.
Yeah, he goes deep and Persian King goes for the switchback. But the amount of grip on those fresh mediums or slightly worn mediums at this point, my goodness. Just got a much better exit from the hairpin, and he does hold that position. So Rogue up into P2.
Now, this entire time, Persian King on the hard compound tires has been conserving quite a large amount of ERS. Do you see him making a move back on his teammate, or do you think team orders are going to come into play here and let Rogue take on the Ferrari ahead?
Well, if anything, yeah, I think it really depends if Persian King can stick with him. Because Rogue's definitely going to be pushing to try and go for that win. You know, 6 laps to go. You know, and 3.5 seconds. So if he keeps up the pace he's shown at the beginning of his stint, he'll definitely have a good shot at challenging Pasek for that win. But all these drivers driving very well. Unfortunate for the 5 retirements that we have had. BJ, Key, and Ollie. With Roar and Nixana coming together quite early through the race. Persian King definitely could be using a little bit more of his battery, but I think he's just planning to save it come the last few laps, and he'll just use all of it up to just overtake Rogue.
What do you think about the tire life on the Mercedes of St. Broth at this point in the race with 5 laps to go?
Well, I think he's pretty much committed to going to the end of those hards. You know, there's not really a lot of point going onto the softs now, especially since he's in a points paying position. So I see him staying out. He's shown that he's quite nice on his tires through that soft stint, making them last pretty well. So I don't think he'll have too many issues making it to the end from here.
Very nice driving from both of the Renaults thus far in this race, for sure. Not too much action going on in the sense of wheel-to-wheel action currently on the circuit, but we'll take a look at what the position changes have been like here through the race. Rogue in P2 at the moment has moved up 7 positions. Pasek starting on P2 has moved up 1 place. Itero Nevo in that Racing Point has moved up 11 slots as well. Calusa up 1. St. Broth has dropped back 5 positions. Byron in that Toro Rosso has moved up 7 places. Tiger Racing up 5. Lando has dropped back a couple of positions. Azair started this race in 10th, and he is currently sat comfortably in 10th as well, with not too much action going on around him at the moment. K4 in the Haas is running 11th at this time. Skybits in the Ferrari, though, getting very close to the rear of K4 in the Ferrari. We could see a move from him shortly, is currently running in P12. Silence in P13. He's made up 5 positions. It's very interesting. We have 5 retirements here so far in Shanghai. We got 5 laps to go. BJ, Key, Olipub, Gore, and Nixana all out of this race. Most notably Nixana, who finished on the podium in Bahrain, out of this race very, very early on. So he'll be looking to bounce back in Baku, I am sure.
Skybits is all over the rear wing of K4. He does make the move past, but K4 is coming back at him on the exit of turn 12. With a bit of wheel banging there.
Skybits with the DRS, though, making that move to the outside. He has a pretty good lunge through into the hairpin here. They're still wheel to wheel, though.
Ooh, K4.
K4 has the better exit there, a little bit more traction from him.
Meanwhile, Rogue is still pushing. He has brought that down another second, but at this point, I don't know if he's going to have the tires and the fuel and battery to really challenge Pasek for the win. It's going to be close come the end of the race.
Very good on the ERS management, though. Not quite at empty, but he's still able to use some of that energy to get himself those crucial tenths up on Pasek.
Skybits around the outside. Ooh. Has a little bit of a slide there. I don't know if he got tapped by K4 or not, but K4 still holding on to P11.
Ooh, K4 goes a little wide there through this turn up into the exit of the S now. Skybits up ahead of the Haas driver. The Haas will be looking to bounce back, I'm sure, on the back straight with DRS as we move through into Sector 3. A little bit of slip of the rear from the Ferrari there of Skybits. Calusa getting very close to that Racing Point.
I think Silence has had a bit of a spin as well.
K4 with the DRS. Will he be able to catch up Skybits on this long back straight into the hairpin? He's definitely not going to have enough to make a proper move on the Ferrari there, as he has a bit of lag as well. He's now currently a second behind the Ferrari driver. Persian King and Rogue have a flip as Rogue has spun it.
Rogue!
Not good for Rogue.
Oh,
doesn't look like he has any wing damage, though. Looks like he may have gotten lucky there to save it in the P3. Definitely not happy about that is the driver of Rogue, as he is now 10 seconds behind his teammate Persian King. Persian King less than 5 behind P1 right now. It's very unfortunate for Rogue, as he was absolutely flying here on that medium stint.
Yeah, I think he just pushed a little bit too hard. You could see Pasek just up the road. He knew he was gaining.
Calusa within a second of Itero Nevo, as he's got DRS down the pit straight now. He'll be looking to make a move, I'm sure, within the next couple of laps on the Racing Point.
So with 3 laps to go, Rogue spun it again. I think? No. There's a yellow flag, it's set to 1. Never mind. So 3 laps to go, this is how it stands. Pasek driving a very solid race so far. He is currently sitting P1. Persian King 5 seconds behind. Rogue, after a couple of spins, now 15 seconds behind his teammate in 3rd. Terrano in that Racing Point is in 4th. Calusa 5th. St. Broth in 6th. Byronville in 7th. Tiger Racing in 8th. Lando's Milkman 9th. And Asia rounds off the top 10.
A lot of viewers curious to know what's been going on with Azair in this race. He has been comfortable in 10th position through the past 6 laps here. He has not gained any time on his teammate of Lando.
Yeah, both Red Bulls really struggling today, it seems. But meanwhile, Kalusa
He's going to have a run
and
down this back
Eterno.
straight here with the DRS now.
Yeah, Eterno got DRS off silence as well, so
Yeah, and that
he's not
racing
really getting
point
close enough.
is going to put that Renault of Rogue under some pressure through the last couple laps here in Shanghai, as well as Rogue starting to feel the degradation on those mediums. He pushed them very, very, very hard, as well as the spin that he had.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be feeling it. Those spins would not have helped at all. So 2 laps to go. I think the battle for third is where it's at. Well, the gap's very tight so far between Rogue, Eterno, and Kalusa. They come through the S section. Still remaining around at half a second, but Eterno has dropped off slightly to Rogue. Now the gap 1.4. The Kalusa saving up that battery, going into turn 11. And into turn 12, trying to get a good exit onto this back straight.
This is going to be crucial here for that Alpha to get a good exit here off the banking.
Well, he gets a decent exit. About the same as Eterno, but the DRS. Eterno not having DRS time, the slipstream. Fakes the inside, goes on the outside. Eterno runs a bit deep. The switchback from Kalusa. They're side by side going into the final corner. As Pasek has started the final lap, there's a bit of a cut from Eterno. But it looks like Kalusa still has that DRS. I don't think he's going to be making a move.
Something to keep in mind here is Kalusa much more of a charge on the MGUK than Itero at the moment.
That is very true, but both of them trying to save some for that back straight. I think it's going to come down to the last sector between these two.
Curious to know if either of these drivers have any penalties at the moment that could possibly impact the finish result.
I don't believe so. No penalties between these two.
Kalusa very, very tight, keeping to the rear of that racing point now. Both drivers saving as much energy as they can before we move up into Sector 3.
Kalusa closing right up on the back of that racing point as Eterno has a little bit of a slide. Kalusa trying to get the power down. He can see that racing point. He can smell that 4th position. Puts it up into overtake. You see up all the field DRS as Pasek has come across the line to win the Chinese Grand Prix. Great drive from him. Persian King across the line in 2nd. And it looks like Ray will come into 3rd, but the battle for 4th. Kalusa and Eterno side by side through the hairpin. Kalusa gets a little bit of wheel spin off the exit. And I think that Eterno has done enough to hold off the Alpha. Great driving between those two.
Definitely, definitely great driving between the Alpha and the Racing Point. Congratulations to those two, keeping it clean through the last lap there. Of course, it was a very tight interval. Byron crosses 7th fastest here in this campaign. Silence catching the lapped checkered flag as he finishes in 13th. Tiger Racing in the Alpha crossing 8th here in Shanghai. Lando, not the performance we definitely wanted to see out of Lando, having won the first 2 races here in Season 6 of Tier 3, but he finishes in the points nonetheless. On the 18-lap-old hard compound tires, he finishes 9th with his teammate Azair definitely struggling here in China, finishing 10th. As I know a lot of people wanted to see him with a better result. He takes a 5-second time penalty on the last corner after multiple warnings. Skybits, our P2 runner in Bahrain, not able to get himself into the points We'll see if penalties on Azair play a role here for the Ferrari. It doesn't look like it's going to, as he comes across the line in 11th. K4 in the Haas, going to be the last driver to finish here.
We've definitely seen some very nice, clean, tight racing. Unfortunate for those who have DNF'd. I'm sure the stewards will be looking at that Igor and Nixana incident. But congratulations to Pasek. Very well deserved, well driven, stayed composed, and just pulled away with it.
Overall, I'd say it was a solid race here in China for Tier 3. Definitely a lot of exciting overtaking. Obviously, that Sector 3 back straight was host to most of it. So as we have a look now, it is Pasek with the race win here in China. Persian King on P2 in the Renault. Definitely a solid result from him, considering his race in Bahrain last week. Rogue, his teammate, finishes in 3rd. He was on for the 2nd place finish and possibly the race win, but unfortunately a spin that we saw him have late in the race drops him into 3rd. Etero Nevo in 4th, Calusa 5th, St. Broth in 6th, Byron in 7th, Tiger Racing in 8th, Lando's Milkman finishes 9th, Azair rounds off the top 10. He started 10th, finishes 10th, Skybits in 11th. He had started 8th here for the Chinese Grand Prix. K4 in 12th, Silence 13th in the Williams, BJ in the McLaren 14th, Key in 15th, Ollie Pub 16th, Gore in 17th, and Nixana in 18th, unfortunately, after his P3 in Bahrain last week. With the drivers in 14th through 18th unable to finish this race here. Silence was lapped through this campaign. Very unfortunate for those guys.